Because it's extremely warm this evening, you'll notice I'm not wearing my robes, and if any of the gentlemen wants to take their jackets off, that's perfectly acceptable. Right, I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Council, both councillors and officers, as well as members of the public that are in attendance tonight, but unfortunately we don't have any, so there we go. This meeting is being live broadcast to YouTube for the public to view the proceedings. Please check that your mobile phones are switched off or are on silent. If they're not, please see to it now. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, please follow the officers to the muster point at the front of the building and do not use the lifts. As the Mayor, I'm entrusted to maintain decorum at this meeting. I would therefore like to remind councillors that respect is to be shown to all members and officers in the chamber. When someone is speaking, I would ask that other members listen and do not hold their own private conversations. Any members who do not respect this will be reminded. I am proposing that after an hour and a half, we will find an appropriate time for a short comfort break. You may see that from time to time, I will speak into the officers on the dais, who will be guiding me through any procedural points. I trust that all members have read the reports and taken the opportunity to put any questions they might have to the relevant officer. Before we look at the business of the agenda for tonight, I would like to draw members' attention to the timer, which we're now going to put on. Okay, so that's on the screen behind me. I'll be using these tonight to ensure that members are aware when they are nearing the 5-minute limit to any speech. If any member does reach the 5 minutes limit, I will be asking them to stop their speech immediately. Before I turn to the agenda for this meeting, I would like to ask the Reverend Tim Rose to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, at the beginning of our meeting tonight, it is only right that we remember the life and service of Anne Widdecombe to our nation, and we pray tonight for her family and her friends as they mourn, that you would surround them with your love and your comfort and your grace. And Father, we pray that tonight we would model a new way of public discourse in this place, that we would have robust debate, but we would also have love and trust and respect for one another in our different views, but in our shared humanity. And Father, would you lead us tonight to make good and wise decisions to benefit all in our wonderful borough and county. In the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
If you have some pressing occasion to go to, then I suggest you can leave now. Thank you. Would members like to sit now? Right, points of order. I'll now hand over to the monitoring officer to deal with the points of order.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members. Councillors are reminded that a point of order may only relate to an alleged breach of council standing orders or the law. Any councillors raising a point of order must indicate the standing order or the point of law and the way in which they consider it has been broken. Councillors are also reminded that they are only to speak once on a matter and once on an amendment. If it is apparent that significant inaccuracy of information has been shared during the discussion, which is misleading to members, in accordance with standing orders, any member may propose a motion for a short adjournment of the meeting. During the adjournment, the member querying the information being provided will advise which part of discussion they disagree with. The monitoring officer will decide whether this does need addressing. If this can be resolved at the meeting, it will be, but if further investigation is needed, members will be advised of the outcome as soon after the meeting as practicable. Any such adjournment should be proposed before a motion is put to a final vote. The ruling of the Deputy Mayor on any part of this meeting is final. Thank you.
Right, moving on to agenda item 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Yes, Madam Mayor. We've had apologies received from Councillors Barker, Chandler, John Duran, Sue Duran, Gibson, Matur, Mooney, Brennan and Islam.
Councillor Garachi, have you got something to add?
Yeah, unless I missed it, it's also Councillor Arnold sends her apologies. Thank you.
Thank you, that will be noted. Sorry, Councillor Beattie?
Councillor Geach is on the way, but she's running late.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? No? Councillor Ballflower.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, I have mentioned this before, so it's probably captured, is I believe Councillor Lee's running late or won't be able to make it, depending on his circumstances.
Oh, is he there? Oh, right, he sneaked in. Thank you.
Oh dear. Right, back to agenda item 2, the minutes. Members are reminded that under Standing Order 10.1, the only part of the minutes that can be discussed is their accuracy. Do members have any points of accuracy to raise in respect of the minutes for the council meeting held on the 20th of May 2026 and the extraordinary council meeting held on the 29th of June 2026? No? So are the minutes agreed? Thank you. I'll sign the minutes at the end of this meeting. Addendum item 3, disclosure of interests. Do any members have any disclosures of interest in relation to the matters which are to be considered at this meeting, aside from the declarations from those councillors that are also Surrey County councillors, West Surrey councillors, Councillor Nichols, who is on the Knoll Green Estates Board of Directors, and Councillor Woodward, who is on the Spelthorne Direct Services Board? No? Thank you. Right, we now come to the agenda item 4, which is my own announcements. Since the last council meeting, I have attended many events, too many to mention, and met many residents of Spelthorne, given awards and visited local schools. I will name just 3 of the ones I've attended. Firstly, the Spelthorne and Runnymede Volunteers Award Ceremony at the Royal Holloway College in Egham, where I presented awards to our wonderful local heroes who give so much time to help others. I would particularly like to mention our own councillor Michelle Arnold, who received an award for her work with Ashford Youth Club. But unfortunately she's not here today, so we can't give her a big clap. But, maybe we can. Yes, let's give her a big clap. Right. I also attended Spelthorne Business Awards at BP, where a panel of judges picked a winner from a short list of people based in Spelthorne who had submitted business plans for ideas of promoting new businesses in the local area. This was an extremely interesting evening, and the winner received £4,000 to help with the start-up of their business. And the last one I want to mention is the Staines upon Thames Day, which took place on the 28th of June. And the Deputy Mayor, who unfortunately can't be with us today, and I were there to help celebrate the day. Councillor Michelle Gibson opened the proceedings in the morning, and I had the pleasure of choosing the best decorated business duck, which this year went to Surrey Libraries. I was then called upon to start the race, which was enthusiastically attended and followed to the finishing line. A great day for many local families and very well supported. A big thank you to all the many people that worked so hard to organise this event. Right, and then I'd like to just quickly promote the events I've got coming up shortly. These events start on the afternoon of the 24th of July with a timeless afternoon tea at the Hazelwood Centre in Sunbury, followed by an evening at the Thameside Brewery with music by Jason Searle, winner of the Stars in Their Eyes, plus a barbecue. And that's on Saturday, August the 8th. And then after the summer break on the 24th of September, we have a Mayor's Quiz at the Magpie in Sunbury. And then the last thing I want to mention is that on the 15th of October in the Council Chambers, we will have a talk by Nick Pollard on 1,000 years of Spelthorne. So if you can come along and support any of those particular items, then we will very much appreciate your company. Thank you. And now on to agenda item 5, announcements from the leader. Councillor
Madam
Neil,
Mayor.
can you please make your announcements?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to report that the Council's Commissioners have recognised the progress we continue to make through our Improvement and Recovery programme. Their latest report, published yesterday, acknowledges improvements in governance, financial management and organisational capacity. This is an encouraging endorsement of the hard work and dedication of our officers and councillors. And I would like to thank everyone involved for their continued commitment. Despite this, we are under no illusion about the scale of the challenge ahead. There is still a great deal to do, and we remain fully committed to delivering the improvements the Commissioners have identified, strengthening the Council's financial position, and ensuring we leave a strong legacy for the new West Surrey Council. I'm proud to announce that the walled gardens in Sunbury and Staines Cemetery have once again received National Green Flag Awards, recognising them as among the very best managed parks and green spaces in the country. This prestigious achievement reflects the dedication of our parks teams, volunteers and community groups who work throughout the year to maintain these valued spaces. My thanks go to everyone whose efforts have helped secure this recognition. As preparations continue for the creation of West Surrey Council, residents are being invited to help shape the identity of the new authority. A public survey is now open, giving residents, businesses and community groups the opportunity to share what makes our area unique and the values they would like the new council to reflect. Importantly, the new branding will be designed in-house by council staff at no additional cost. And I encourage everyone to take part before the consultation closes on the 3rd of August. I've done mine. Next Tuesday, a new play area at Staines Park will officially open just in time for the summer holidays. Funded through the Community Infrastructure Levy, the new facility has been designed as an inclusive, accessible and modern space for children of all ages and abilities. It represents another investment in our parks and community facilities, and I look forward to seeing local families enjoying it for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Agenda item 6, announcements from the Interim Chief Executive.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one. The CPRC meeting on Monday debated some of the issues we're debating tonight, and there was a full debate and lots of questions answered. But one of the central issues was about whether some of that material could better be published in public, and therefore part of the debate in public. And of course, in principle, that's exactly what we should do. So, between Corley getting home at midnight on Monday and working with a number of other officers, you will have received a few pages of public report in relation to item 19, the main asset disposal issue. So there's been a lot of work gone into that with a number of different officers trying to find that careful balance between presenting arguments that sensibly can be voiced in public, the rationale, the analysis, but keeping out numbers and names that are clearly confidential. Because some of the material that's confidential, of course, is not just about the council's confidential information, it's about third parties as well who expect that to be confidential. So as a result of all of that, we did produce a short report that was passed out last evening. I hope you take that in the way it was intended, which is we heard what you said and we tried to respond to that. And if the debate tonight in practice means that that's a better way of doing it and this report seems to cover that right balance, then we'll certainly do that as we go forward into the next meeting. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Gordon. Agenda item 7, questions from members of the public. We have not received any questions from the members of the public for this meeting. So now we're on to agenda item 8, Spelthorne Borough Council's off-street parking places, amendment number 3, order 2026. This item can be found on pages 19 to 76 of the main agenda. This item has been considered by the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee on Monday the 20th April 2026, and it was resolved to recommend that Council approves and adopts the proposed amendments. I call upon Councillor Neil to propose a motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose that the Council, 1, note the recommendations of the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee made at its meeting on Monday the 20th of April 2026 in relation to the proposed amendments to the Spelthorne Borough Council off-street parking places, amendment number 3, order 2026. And 2, approve and adopt the proposed amendments to the Spelthorne Borough Council off-street parking places, amendment number 3, order 2026, as recommended by the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee on 20th of April 2026. And 3, resolve to make the Spelthorne Borough Council off-street parking places, amendment number 3, order 2026. And 4, authorise the Group Head Neighbourhood Services and Group Head Corporate Governance in consultation with the Chair of the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee to make any minor drafting or consequential amendments necessary to give effect to the order.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Basin, do you wish to reserve your right to speak later?
On this subject, no, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Neil, do you wish to speak in support of your motion?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Following our previous discussion on parking tariffs in October 2025, a public consultation has been carried out and considered, and also members' comments in that discussion have been taken into account. The proposal in front of you today has been amended to retain the free time allocations that members felt were important, and it has been approved by the Environment and Sustainability Committee and Corporate Policy and Resources Committee. I don't see any reason to object, and I suggest we all support this motion.
Do any councillors wish to speak on this motion? Councillor Sexton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We made those changes some time ago and I don't have a problem with that. However, something else has come to light, specifically about the Eclipse Leisure Centre. And unfortunately, I've sent an email and not had a response, so I need to raise it now so it does get the attention that it duly deserves. We have people that we have the double yellow lines at the Eclipse Leisure Centre already. There's an unloading bay and there's another parking space which is at the side as you enter into the car park. Despite the efforts of the Eclipse, and of course obviously NSL will be enforcement will be going there, but at certain times of the day, people are still parking outside and indeed on the pavements. I did put a recommendation in that some bollards were put in to avoid that, because obviously there is a pedestrian crossing soon after that, and I'm very worried about the safety. I did send an email, I haven't had a response, and I really would like to have a response, because there's no point putting double yellow lines in if we cannot enforce it after 7 o'clock at night, because we can't, and more importantly, to allow people to keep flouting the law. So can it please be addressed? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Is anyone able to help Councillor Sexton with that question, or shall we note it?
Yes, it's not.
Right, okay. We will note that question and make sure we get you a response. Thank you. Right, anybody else wanting to speak? Right, Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'd like to draw members to paragraph 5.4 on page 24. And it says, it is estimated the original proposals to reduce the first hour of free parking to 30 minutes could have increased parking income by approximately £18,000. However, this option was rejected by each committee and was further ratified by consultation responses to the proposed parking order. These car parks retain the first hour free parking under this new proposal. I sat on ENS and CPRC, and it was agreed across the chamber that you need an hour's parking. It's been included, but it was an absolute fight to get it through. At every single point we had to fight. So I would like for officers, when they're bringing reports forward, to see residents more as shareholders rather than cash cows, and try and understand the lived experience of people rather than just thinking about the bottom line. Obviously it's important, but you know, the council needs to work for the residents, not the other way around. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. We'll make a note of that and see if we can do something about it. Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you. I just want to say that this parking thing was well and truly talked about every which way going, and that Jackie put a hell of a lot of time, effort and so on into it, and the discussions were just went on, and hopefully we've come up with the right answer, and I fully support what's been suggested. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Does anybody else wish to... Oh, do you want to say something else?
Just one quick thing. Are we using the clock tonight?
Well, we will do at some point, but so far... Apologies. Actually, is it possible to have it on the screen here? I'm going to put this down to the heat, unfortunately. We're all a little frayed tonight. I can now see the actual countdown, so we won't let that happen again. Right, does anybody else have any questions? Sorry, Councillor Buck.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to welcome the decision this council has taken as regards to parking. As you know, parking is one of the services the council provide that touch everyone in the borough every day. And the fact that the council has listened to the resident, not increasing the rate, that was a fair decision to the council, to the resident. Not only the resident, I also think parking is important for our high street. And we all know currently how businesses are struggling, and if this had to go ahead, business will be in a more difficult situation. So therefore, I'm pleased to support this recommendation. I think this was a right decision taken by this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buck. Right, does anybody else have any comments? No? Right. Councillor Neil, would you like to sum up?
No, thank you.
Okay. Right, so we'll go to the vote then on these recommendations. Does Council 1 note the recommendations of the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee made at its meeting on Monday, the 20th of April 2026, in relation to the proposed amendments to the Spelthorne Borough Council's off-street parking places, Amendment number 3, Order for 2026? Number 2, approve and adopt the proposed amendments to the Spelthorne Borough Council's off-street parking places, Amendment Number 3, Order 2026, as recommended by the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee on the 20th of April 2026. And number 3, resolve to make the Spelthorne Borough Council off-street parking places, Amendment Number 3, Order 2026. And number 4, authorise the Group Head of Neighbourhood Services and the Group Head of Corporate Governance, in consultation with the Chair of the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee, to make any minor drafting or consequential amendments necessary to give effect to this order. Would those in favour please raise their hands? Thank you. Those against, would you please raise your hands? Is there anyone that would like to abstain? There we go, we've got one abstention. Thank you. I believe that's carried. Yes. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 9, reinstatement of audit chair and vice chair allowances. This item can be found on pages 77 to 82 of the main agenda. I call upon Councillor Neil to propose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose that Council, 1, approve the continuation of special responsibility allowances for the Chair and Vice Chair of the Audit Committee at 40% and 20% respectively of the Leader's allowance. 2, approve the amendment to Part 6 of the Constitution as set out in paragraph 2.8 of this report. And 3, approve that special responsibility allowances for the Chair and Vice Chair of the Audit Committee will apply retrospectively from the 21st of May 2026.
Do we have a seconder?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Bateson, do you wish to speak to this motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And you don't? Right, okay, thank you. Right. Councillor Neil, do you wish to speak in support of your motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. In May, we discussed whether councillor allowances should be increased, and the overriding feeling was that councillors did not require an increase in pay. Contained within that proposal, and perhaps inadvertently also voted down, was a recommendation to continue the allowances to the Chair and Vice Chair of the Audit Committee, Councillors Button and Howkins. This new motion proposes that members consider only continuing these 2 allowances, which seems only fair to the 2 councillors mentioned. They both work hard for the Audit Committee in an apolitical capacity, and I'm sure we can all support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have... Councillor Salagopoulos.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I wasn't aware of the reasons why the allowances had been withdrawn. I would like it noted, Madam Mayor, that of course I agree that councillors should get, if they're working hard, except I do not agree with the chairman. We've had this out the other night at the meeting. We had a long chat about it, and we talked about the past poor performance of our audit committee, and then thankfully we had the gentleman come from outside, whose name I can't remember, who's trying to set that ship on a straight course, which I of course welcome. But I'd like it noted, Madam Mayor, I do not agree with the chairmanship. I did say to the leader, the Liberal Democrat leader, could he please have a little look at this within the last 2 days? You know, he's in a position to put one of his own members in, and he obviously hasn't done that. So I'd like it noted that I do not agree with the chairman, but I do agree with the deputy chairman. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We'll note your comment. Right. Any other? Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say that I believe that Councillor Button has given excellent leadership of the Audit Committee for several years. He's very fair with members, gets everyone to be heard, and he allows the difficult hard questions to be asked and answered. As an audit committee, we don't control the finances. We don't control what Grant Thornton say. All we can do is try and scrutinise to the best of our ability, and I have every confidence in Councillor Button.
Thank you. Is Councillor Clark?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I really like competent people. I really respect them. I suffer incompetent people. And I feel that if there is somebody who's going to be chairman, and I've absolutely no, this is not specific at all, if somebody goes to be either chairman or vice chairman, they absolutely need to think long and hard as to are they competent to do it. If they're not competent to do it, they should absolutely not do it, and they should pass it over to somebody else for whatever else it is. The audit committee is really, really important, has been really important, and obviously has been underinvested in. We have commissioners in on the £1,000 a day club, and had the audit previously been more robust and provided better scrutiny, perhaps we wouldn't have to be in that position as to where we are. So I would encourage everything, and I've been vilified for your predecessor, Madam Mayor, and called all kinds of names, because I believe that people need to have competence and capability. If they can't do it, get out the job. This is not a place, it's not a gravy train. This is a place where we're actually dealing with residents' money, and we're dealing with a place that the residents live in, and we need to be robust, and we need to be honest with ourselves and with each other within this place. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bulk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sure we all recall that this council debated this agenda item on the 20th of May 2026. Members considered the recommendation of the independent remuneration panel and made a conscious democratic decision not to increase the members' allowance and not to continue the special responsibility allowance for the chair and vice chair of the audit committee. This council unanimously voted not to continue the responsibility allowance and not to increase the members' basic allowance by 4%. This was not an oversight of members. This was a decision taken after reflection of the debate that we as councillors will lead by example. We cannot say something and do something different. The reason why this council voted against, because we wanted to show restraint in this time of financial difficulty, and the money should instead, I remember this was proposed, this money should instead benefit the residents and the charities of Spelthorne. So I asked myself the question today, what has changed? Are we out of this financial situation now? No. Have the residents become more relaxed, not concerned about what's happening? No. Or has the government intervention stopped and they've gone out for the door? No. We still are in the same situation. We just heard the leader saying a few minutes ago that they still have a lot of challenge, financial challenge. So in fact, we remain still under intense scrutiny of the government. So today we've been asked to reverse that decision. Not only to reverse the decision, but to backdate it. So that report tells us that the previous decision made was contrary to the spirit of members' allowance scheme, and there may be governance and reputational risk. If that is true, so why wasn't the advice clearly presented to members on the 20th of May before we voted unanimously? Were members given incomplete advice, or are we being given a different argument today? This is a very important question and require reasonable and immediate answer, because this is about good governance. Council decisions should mean something. They should not be revisited after a few weeks later unless there is a major significant change in the law or any new evidence. I've searched through the report and I cannot find that significant change. Madam Mayor, residents expect consistency from their councillors and from this council. They expect transparency, and they expect this council to stand by its decision unless there is compelling reason to change them. Before we overturn an unanimous decision taken less than 2 months ago, I believe this council owes residents a clear explanation, not just what we can reverse the decision, but why we should reverse this decision. At the moment, I do not believe that explanation has been made clearly. I just remind councillors that there was 32 members present, 32 voted not to increase, 0 abstained, and 0 for. So I just want you to reflect on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Buck. Councillor Salagopoulos, if you have anything to say, could you just not talk over what Councillor Buck was doing? Because you were talking all the time he was trying to talk.
Madam Mayor, I beg your pardon. So sorry.
Thank you for your apology. Right, now does anybody else wish to talk on this debate? No? Okay. Councillor Neal, would you like to sum up?
No, I've nothing to add, thanks.
Okay, we'll go to the vote then. Does Council agree to number 1, approve the continuation of special responsibility allowances for the Chair and the Vice Chair of the Audit Committee at 40% and 20% respectively of the Leader's allowance? Number 2, approve the amendment to Part 6 of the Constitution as set out in paragraph 2.8 of the report. And 3, approve that special responsibility allowance for the Chair and Vice Chair of the Audit Committee will apply retrospectively from the 21st of May 2026. Councillor Buck.
Vote.
Of course you can have a vote. Just handing over to our Chief Executive to call the name vote.
Just reminded it's me to do this part. So, in alphabetical order, Mayor Dunn.
4.
So it's 4 against, abstain. Councillor Arnold. Was that one of the ones that was late? Atwell.
Abstain.
Bateson.
4.
Beattie.
4.
Beecher.
4.
Badai.
Against.
Councillor Bing Dong.
1000% against.
I don't have a column for that, but no, make a bigger one. Councillor Bopari. Botflower.
Against.
Buck.
Against.
Burrell.
4.
Button.
4.
Kaplan.
4.
Clark.
Abstain.
Councillor Geach.
4.
Councillor Garachi.
4.
Grant.
4.
Gayawali. 4. Hawkins.
Abstain.
Lee.
Abstain.
Neil.
4.
Nichols.
4.
Rutherford.
4.
Sally Galopoulos.
Against.
Sexton.
4.
Turner. 4. Virasinghe. Williams.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. The result of the vote is as follows. We have 18 votes for, 6 votes against and 5 votes abstain. So therefore the motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 10, the Annual Standards Report 2025-26. This item is to endorse the Standards Committee Annual Report of 2025. This item can be found on pages 83 to 100 on the main agenda, and I call upon Councillor Neil to propose the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose that the Council endorse the Standards Committee Annual Report 2025.
Would you like to second, Councillor Bateson?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to reserve your right to speak?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Neil, would you like to talk in support of your motion?
Yes, thank you. I would like to thank members from all groups who have contributed to the work of this committee. It's important to remember members are only being asked to approve the report as a factual record of the work completed. We are not asked to consider how well the Standard Committee functions, nor are we asked to consider any of the conclusions it reached. With that in mind, I believe we should endorse the report.
Thank you, Leader. Would anybody like to ask any questions on this particular item? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to draw your eye to paragraph 4.1. Risk 1, without active monitoring, poor conduct can go unnoticed, become normalised and deteriorate relationships within the council. You may notice that I'm not wearing my green badge that says anti-bullying ambassador anymore. I feel that the tension within the chamber has reduced because of you, Madam Mayor, and the new leader. So I hope now we can work in a new collegiate manner and that we can all work forwards together to make sure the last months of this council can actually be as best as they possibly can, despite our dire circumstances. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I think that's an excellent idea, and I'm sure the Leader would approve too. Councillor Sexton.
If I may, Madam Mayor, I do believe Councillor Bateson is meant to second this motion. I think it's been missed out.
I did ask him to second.
Well, apologies, I didn't hear it or anything else after that. So
I shall try and shout a bit louder into the mic.
Thank you.
But he did second it, and he did say he did want to reserve his right to speak afterwards.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, is there anybody else would like to speak on this agenda item? Councillor Geraci.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wrote something a few days ago because I didn't think I would be able to attend. So I can reading this now. I think I was obviously quite annoyed when I wrote it. So I'm going to read it out. I'm not that annoyed now, but I wrote, I'm extremely frustrated to read probably the most inaccurate, self-indulgent and pointless 12-page drivel I've ever read to date. The Standards Committee is not fit for purpose. It has been proven to be subject to bias, treat those who engage much less favourably than those who don't. It has no teeth to make any meaningful difference, and I have zero faith in the fairness of the outcomes of any of the subcommittee decisions. Previously, the Council received strong allegations of officer impropriety over the committee, improper influence over the subcommittee and unfair influence by officers. There was zero interest in investigating this. There was a lot of sweeping under the carpet. On another occasion, there was an incident where members misunderstood what they were voting for, and instead of resolving the issue, members were simply laughed at, and there was zero interest in again resolving the matters, and the decision stayed. In my view, the committee is a tick box exercise. Despite this, 12 pages describe it as fundamental in upholding the ethics of the council. The committee has caused more controversy than proper resolutions. For this reason, I would urge you not to vote in favour of this so-called report. Keeping going for the next 8 months with what we have, keeping in mind that it is the best we have pending unitary, and pray that the next equivalent committee actually works as intended. I know that the leader has said that we shouldn't talk about what the outcome is of the committee, but I think if we're not looking at the outcome of the committee, what we're looking at, the report is for the outcome of the committee and how it's working, and I don't think it works. So I would highly recommend that we don't vote in favour of the report and we just keep going as we are until unitary. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Geraghty. Councillor Atwell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Some may realise that I've missed a few meetings of the council because I find it very hard at times to sit in this room and hear some of the statements that are quoted and read. Yet again tonight we have to hear offensive remarks about our officers, and I just want to point that out, that I find it offensive in the least, and it would encourage me not to attend. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Atwell. Councillor Bullflower?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think first of all I wish to thank the committee, the Standards Committee, especially the independent chair and vice chair that have spent time on these committees that are no longer with us or with us. I'm not on the committee anymore. But in my time, it's been a robust committee covering many, many different things. I'm grateful for the different monitoring officers we've had in that time producing the reports and managing all these problems. So I do think it's got great value. I think there's lots of learning we can do, and I hope West Surrey, and I know they hold them here, which is fantastic, will move this thing forward. But I think it's a great report, and I thank everybody that sat on the committee and worked with them over many years, because this is the last one. So I think it's a great position to be in, of having a good standards committee. Rubber stamp everything that it's done. It's been difficult, some of it, and difficult with members that were elected before this chamber was put here with these members. There's been many a topic that's cropped up. I won't say it because we'll probably get sued as a council, and there's things that members are still here now from the past that broke the rules terribly. But that was dealt with privately, constructively, and things have moved on. So thank you to Linda, our current MO, and thank you to all the previous MOs, the previous chairs and vice chairs who get a pittance for putting up with it all, and also the great members that have served on it. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to... Councillor Howard.
Williams. I'm going to speak in support of what Councillor Geraghty just said. It's not a personal attack on any current members of the Standards Committee. I was very, very, very disappointed reading that report not to see the committee in any way acknowledging the mistakes of the past, lessons learned, and plans to move forward. In front of me, I'm not going to read it out, so don't get worried, but in front of me I've got a copy of an article in Private Eye, Rotten Boroughs, from about 5 or 6 years ago, when a very senior member of this council was accused of very serious misdeeds on social media, and despite compelling evidence, he was let off. And Private Eye's final sentence is, "Ain't it great to have mates?" That's the effect on this council's reputation of having. If I may finish. What I was going to say is
that we're talking to the motion.
I know we are. The point
year 2025. You're bringing up matters which date 5-6 years by your own admission. So we'll be grateful if you concentrate your comments on the matter. Thank you.
I will continue. Yes, because what we've seen extremes. In our current council, we've seen people being vilified, publicly ridiculed by the council's press office, over completely baseless allegations. I know they were baseless because I was there at the time. It seems to be that Standards Committee has and still does work on the basis of it all depends what colour rosette you're wearing. This report does not do any of that justice. This report should be pointing out where it's got wrong in the past and what it's doing to fix it, and it doesn't. That's why I'll be voting against the report.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Does anybody else wish to say anything before we sum up? Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm a member of the Standards Committee, and as Councillor Geraci will remember, at the Standards Committee meeting, he was the only one who objected to this report, and this is a report for 2025 for the period that our current monitoring officer has been responsible for that role. I do refute Councillor Williams' remarks because the committee is a cross-party committee. I have had to willingly perform subcommittee roles, which have been very difficult when you are reading the facts about behaviour between officers and members or members and members. We should be ashamed of the actions that happened. I apologise to an external representative that had to witness how we conduct ourselves in the chamber. I, like others, thought he was a member of the council, and I don't know why that made it any better, but to discover actually he was a third party and he was watching how we speak to each other is a disgrace. You know, as we know, in 2023, we have more new councillors than old, but unfortunately we don't seem to be able to rid ourselves of the behaviours and the past. This report is for 2025. The vast majority of members supported the report, and unfortunately, just because Councillor Geraci didn't agree with it, then he should have resigned from the committee and allowed another member to give their best efforts. So I will support this report, as I said in the meeting. Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to make any comments before we... Councillor Sexton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to say something because I'm one of these people that has actually been vindicated. And there was an independent review that was taken in terms of the findings which still have not been addressed, and we're still waiting from the council to hear them. And I hope they will come forthwith because this is not closed. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Councillor Sexton. Councillor Hawkins?
I wasn't going to speak on this because the Standards Committee is something that I don't know that much about. However, I have turned around and sat in as an observer when there was a very serious case a couple of years, about a year, 18 months ago, where Councillor Sexton was just talking about how she was vindicated. She was partially vindicated, and yes, it is still ongoing. However, we are where we are. We're in a better place. We're turning around and we have a better attitude. And that I hope that going forward, we can see a more positive and people working together rather than people turning around and backbiting, getting upset with officers, turning around and not being realistic in what they say and do. I really do think that the Standards Committee is a worthy committee, and it is a committee that is cross-party and does work. And as Councillor Lee said, if Councillor Geraci doesn't like it, there's always the door. Okay, thank you.
Right. Does anyone else wish to comment before Councillor Neil sums up? No. Would you like to sum up, Councillor Neil?
I've nothing to add, thank you.
Okay, well, we'll go to the vote then. Right.
Mayor, please.
Okay, could we have another recorded vote, please? Yeah. Right, so the motion we are actually voting on here is, does council agree to endorse the Standards Committee Annual Report 2025? So we've been asked for a recorded vote, so our Chief Executive will now read out names. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As before, in alphabetical order, starting with Mayor Dunn,
4.
Atwell,
4.
Bateson,
4.
Beattie,
Against.
Beecher,
Against.
Badai,
4.
Bing Dong,
Abstain.
Bapari, Botflower,
4.
Buck,
4.
Burrell,
Against.
Button,
Against.
Kaplan,
4.
Clark,
4.
Geach,
Against.
Garachi,
Against.
Grant,
4.
Gaiwali, Hawkins,
4.
Lee,
4.
Neil,
4.
Nichols,
4.
Rutherford,
Against.
Sally Galopoulos,
Against.
Sexton,
Against.
Turner,
4.
Weerasinghe, 4. Williams,
Against.
Woodward.
4.
Thank you.
Thank you. The result of the vote is as follows: 18 votes for, 10 votes against, and 1 vote abstained. So therefore, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Right, we're carrying on now to agenda item 11, the appointment of Chair and Vice Chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee. Council is asked to approve the appointment of the Chair and the Vice Chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee. Council.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. On this item, I'm named as Vice Chair. I'd like to remove my name, please. It might make things a little bit easier because I have no intention in future meetings of ever agreeing to go in part 2 for anything. So I may not be of help to the chairman of that committee. I'm just not one of these people who rubber stamps and agrees. I'm just not prepared to work with him for a start. Thank you.
So is it our understanding that you do not wish to be your name forward for this appointment? Is that my understanding?
No, I don't. Thank you. I'd like to withdraw my name. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Right, so council was asked to approve the appointment of the chair and the vice chair of the Commercial Assets Committee. So I'm going to call upon Councillor Neil to propose a motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose, well, do I include? Presumably not.
Well, you have to propose the chairman. We haven't
Thank
got
you,
to
Madam
the
Mayor. I
deputy.
propose that Council appoint Councillor Nichols as chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Right, do you wish to reserve your right
To
to speak?
briefly, yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
The Assets Subcommittee is one of the most important committees that's going to meet for the remainder time of this council. It has much important work to do, and it's disappointing that members don't feel that they can come forward and contribute, and I think that is a shame. I think, if and correct me if I'm wrong, the committee can function without a vice chair if nobody's name comes forward, but I hope somebody will. Thank you.
Can we just, committee services, is there a problem if we don't actually appoint a deputy?
We know we've got a nomination for the chair, so we can have it with that, and we can ask for nominations for the vice chair, those that are on CAS at the moment.
Right, thank you.
Someone on CAS currently that wants to be vice chair, so we can then vote on that.
Thank you for clarification. Right. Councillor Saligopoulos, do you have a...
I do have another point.
Point
Thank
of
you.
order.
Just following on from the deputy leader, and I wrote it down. He said it's one of the most important meetings of this council. I'm afraid that is contrary to what we were told by the monitoring officer actually in the meeting. We were only there just to give our views, and that what goes forward is either here nor there. So I find it quite amazing. You may wish to rebut what I said, but I would ask members to look, well, they can't look at the tape because it's, I think we spoke in private. But Madam Mayor, it was made very clear that we are not a decision committee, and judging by the fact that there's an item later on of a sale that wasn't even going through that committee, we didn't even have sight of it, so what's the point in the committee? So that's how I am putting my view forward. I do not wish to be vice chairman of a committee that has a chairman that rubber stamps everything and is giving away this borough's goods and chattels for peanuts. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, you've made your position quite clear. Our monitoring officer would just like to come back on that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, factual clarification, Councillor Saligopoulos, what I did say at the meeting is that I was explaining the remit of that particular subcommittee, and there was one distinct transaction that was the subcommittee was acting in an advisory role, making a recommendation to Corporate Policy and Resources Committee, which is its parent committee. And there's a vast other number of transactions which are very much within the remit of the CASC and requires their decisions. I would refer you to the terms of reference which are published on the website. Thank you.
Right. Yes, Councillor Atwell, I think you're linked.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could I make a helpful suggestion that maybe there be a brief break to discuss this change of development rather than talking across the room to particular councillors? I think it'd be best if we had a short break while you have a chance to confer and sort out how we move forward.
We are just at the moment appointing the chair. That's all we're doing at this moment in time. Councillor Nichols has put his name forward, and that is all we are actually going for at the moment. So once we've done that, we will take on board what we do about the second part of this particular problem. Right, Councillor Woodward. Oh, I'm glad. And Councillor Buck.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, my understanding is agenda item 11 is the appointment of a chair and a vice chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee. This is what the agenda item is about. And in light of the proposed deputy chair has withdrawn her interest in the role, and this is a recommendation made by the the nomination come from the Commercial Assets Subcommittee. I think it is not appropriate for someone to stand up here and say, I'm going to stand as vice chair. This needs to go back to the committee to propose to name, and then back to the council for appointment. I will expect the monitoring officer to clarify on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Buck. I see no reason why the nomination of chair cannot be debated and voted upon at this particular meeting. In terms of nomination on the vice chair, as Committee Services Manager did explain, equally there is an opportunity for members of the subcommittee to put forward a nomination if they so wish. Thank you for the position of the vice chair. Thank you.
That seems perfectly clear to me. So, Councillor Bulford, did you want to say something?
I did, Madam Mayor. I thought if we're changing the motion, it will need an amendment. And I have not heard of one so far. Thank you.
Okay, then. Councillor Neil, would you like to put in an amendment just for that one purpose?
Yes, certainly, Madam Mayor. My amendment is I propose that Council appoint Councillor Nichols as Chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee.
And that's seconded by?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to reserve your right to speak?
No, thank you.
Okay. So is everybody clear now what exactly we're voting on? We're just voting on the chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee. Okay? Councillor Bulford.
We're voting on this amendment, and if it's successful, the other amendment will drop out. I didn't think we was voting.
I was just making crystal clear exactly what we are voting for at this moment. We are voting for the amendment that Councillor Neil has just put forward.
Thank you.
Okay? And that's why I was asking if everybody is quite clear with what we are actually voting on. This is just the amendment, just for the chair. Okay? So, in favour of this amendment? Okay. Are we able to count?
Madam, I'm sorry, can you just repeat that so it's very clear?
We are voting on the amendment that Councillor Neil has just put forward, which is just for the chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee. Just that one person. Okay, so those in favour?
Thank you, members. The result of the vote is 21-4, so therefore the amendment is carried. So please proceed to debate the motion as amended. Thank you.
So now we go back to the substantive motion. Is there anyone here for a start that would like to put the name forward for this position we're talking about? Okay, we've got to put the motion forward for this again, have we? No.
This is the motion.
Yeah. Yeah. So does anybody want to talk on this particular subject or not? Right, Councillor Clark, let's have a start with you.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I think this highlights a lot of really important areas. I agree with Councillor Bateson that this is one of the most important committees. I would say it's the most important committee when it comes to finances. Councillor Nichols, I've seen him be the chairman of the committee, and he's an excellent chairman of the committee. He's very collegiate and absolutely tries to get to the nub of the problem with facts in a very clear manner. It's a good committee. What I will say is that I'm disappointed that Councillor Saligopoulos has withdrawn her application to be vice chair, but I think it really does come to a fundamental point about how the chamber operates itself. I will endorse and go further about in some votes in the chamber, we have been told that we have no option other than to vote for a motion. And when I've queried it, I've said, we have no option but to vote for the motion, so we can't vote against it. Well, yes, you can vote against it, but the ramifications are so important. So I think the way that things are spoken about is absolutely important. There is always an option to vote. That's why we vote. In every vote, there are always options. but it does seem to be that votes are railroaded in this council. And I detect that the commissioners and the hand of the commissioners is behind everything, and of course it will be, and there's a need for it to be behind us. However, it's kind of denuded the council's and the members' ability to make sensible and robust decisions because they feel that they can't. And I feel that that's why Councillor Saligopoulos doesn't want to be part of it, because I don't want to be part of an organisation that doesn't work and fails. I tend to walk away from places like that because, not that I don't want to, but it's just, let it stick with those people who are left to a certain extent. We know what's happening in the council. We know what's happening with the assets. It's going to be an absolute skip fire, and we all know it. And for robust people not to be on that council is absolutely, it's a real shame. I am sad, but I know that under Councillor Nichols, it still will work as best as it possibly can. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Waltfire?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think, as my colleague said, I'm truly gutted that Councillor Saligopoulos has withdrawn a nomination, and we've gone through the amendment to get where we are now, and I hope in time that changes her feelings. I've known Lawrence for enough time now, and I'm more than happy to vote for Lawrence, and I'm sure the committee itself will vote in a deputy chair. It's a good committee. It's a very important committee. One of all of our committees are important, to be honest. I don't think there's one that's above the other. And I'm sure that committee will vote in another deputy to assist Lawrence in the dealings of the administration of that committee. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Hawkins?
I'm really disappointed that Councillor Saligopoulos has withdrawn her nomination, but I completely understand why. She's a person of principle. And we turned round, and not this meeting that we had the last meeting before last, there was myself, Councillor Saligopoulos and Councillor Nichols. That was all. The other members hadn't turned up. And they wanted to turn around and put the whole meeting virtually in part 2. And we said no. We said there is far too many things in this council that go into private and into part 2, and that this is wrong. Residents want to know and need to know what is going on, not hiding everything behind doors. Part of the reason that the council got in this position was doing things behind doors, and here we are again where they're trying to do it. Granted, they are talking about trying to do things to improve things, but this has only come about because we have turned around and stamped our feet big time. And we did the same at the meeting that we had last week, this week, I don't know, there's been so many, whereupon Councillor Williams turned around and agreed with our thing about the fact of too many meetings in part 2. And so I fully respect Councillor Saligopoulos for what she's done. It's a shame because it shouldn't happen, and if we didn't have so many meetings in part 2, it wouldn't happen, and we'd have an excellent vice chair. Thank you.
Right, does anybody else want to? Councillor Williams.
It must be the heat, because again this week I find myself agreeing with Councillors Hawkins and Saligopoulos. I don't know what's going on. I think it's a shame that Councillor Saligopoulos has withdrawn her nomination for Vice Chair. I think it should be a very, very important committee, and it should be one where there is a robust debate, challenge and scrutiny. And the way things are developing, I'm not sure that that's going to happen. One of the items that's coming up later, a disposal of commercial assets, that was not even going to go to that committee. It went straight to CPRC with, I understand, the agreement of Councillor Nichols. What's the point of having that committee if the most important decisions just circumvent it? It's absolute nonsense. Now, having said that, I have had email exchanges with the assets team over the past few days about how we get around this particular issue, and I think they've done an absolutely sterling job of putting together a part one paper for this meeting about that particular asset. I don't think that we should underplay just how much hard work it is, as the Chief Executive said, to do that juggling act between being open with residents but keeping stuff confidential, that's both confidential to us and, as I said, to our counterparties. But this is why we need a strong leadership of that committee. We shouldn't be just letting things bypass it because it's convenient. We should be challenging why things are always going to part two and getting as much into part one as we can. And we should have robust debate in that. So I would ask, please, Councillor Saligopoulos, please change your mind and someone put your name forward. I'll put your name forward as Vice Chair if I have to. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I've heard enough to be persuaded. Now make me look like an idiot. Thank you.
At the moment, we are actually on another motion. So, unfortunately, we have to stick to where we are at this moment in time. Okay? No, we need to vote on this motion that we're actually discussing at the moment, and that is the chair of Commercial Assets Subcommittee. Okay.
Madam Mayor, sorry, we're not still at the point where we can make an amendment on this amended motion as well. It's gone back.
We're on the substantive motion at the moment.
So we can go for an amendment.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the original if this is defeated.
We are, no, we're on the motion that just said we are voting for a chair.
I understand that one, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I was talking about either reverting back to the original or making an amendment to this motion to revert back to the original. Which both, I believe, are doable.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Just for clarification, the original motion was moved, then an amendment was moved. The amendment was discussed. It was agreed by the State Chamber. So now we are debating the amended motion, which is in relation to chair of CASC only. We have not got to the stage when we voted on the amended motion. So any number of amendments can be moved. So if anyone would care to move another amendment, which can be seconded, which will be voted upon, and if that amendment has gone through, then the amended motion becomes a substantive motion for debate. I hope that clarifies. Any questions, let me know.
I'm sorry, but if we vote down the amendment, doesn't that mean that we revert to the original proposal?
You're
motion?
absolutely right, Councillor Williams.
Thank you.
If the amended motion fails, then it automatically springs back to the original substantive motion. So it's two ways of dealing with it. Thank you.
Okay, I have the clarification here. So at the moment, we are voting on Councillor Nichols as chair. If you wish not to approve that particular one, then we can go back and we can change the motion back to where we were at the beginning. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you want to either approve, for, or reject, that's the way we're going to go forward, okay? So who wants to agree to this motion? No one. Right, okay. Who wants to abstain on this motion? No one. Oh, okay, Councillor. Very sensible. Who wants to go against this motion? Okay, right.
Thank you, members. The amended motion fails, and therefore we're reverting back to the original motion, which, for the avoidance of doubt, reads: Council is asked to approve the appointment of the chair and vice chair of Commercial Asset Subcommittee, and the nominations are Councillor Nichols as chair and Councillor Saligopoulos as vice chair. Thank you.
Right, is that all perfectly clear now? Councillor Saligopoulos, I know we've taken a while to get to this point, but we have wasted about 20 minutes on this, haven't we? And we have a very long agenda tonight, so after we've completed this particular bit, I'm going to have a short comfort break, and then we must plod on, because otherwise we're going to be here till midnight otherwise. Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say something about Commercial Asset Subcommittee. Two very simple points. The first one concerns scrutiny. We've had it repeated many times in this chamber. Where's scrutiny in this council? I'll tell you where it is. It's in cask if you turn up and actually do it. However, of course, if you vote everything out of Part 2, there will be no scrutiny. As simple as that. And as to Part 2, I would like to give those who have never attended cask one example of what goes on in cask. There is a standing item which covers updates to the commercial properties. I'm not going to go into any detail about it, but for each commercial property, Coralie and her team provide updates on what is happening. They are speculating on what may happen. They're telling us about potential bids, potential tenants. They are doing things which are commercially sensitive and, if held in public, would damage the council's position. This needs to be in Part 2. Can I please urge that we have a sensible view on this? I personally don't like Part 2. I've taken this council to the Information Commissioner to get information disclosed. I've spoken to the monitoring officer about disclosing items which have been held back for commercial reasons. I want things to be in public. So I would ask, please, can we take CAS forward? It is a place where you can have scrutiny, and it's something which we desperately need in this council at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Nichols. Right. So does anybody else want to say anything before we go to the vote? No? Okay. So we now need to vote on the recommendation, and we will vote on each appointment separately. So I'm going to call out first that we're voting on the appointment of the chair, and then when we've completed that, we will then appoint the vice chair. Right. Does council agree to appoint Councillor Nichols as the chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee? Would you please raise your hands if you agree? Okay. Does anyone like to abstain? Is anyone against? Right. Right. So the motion is now carried. Now we're going to agree to appoint Councillor Saligopoulos as Vice Chair of the Commercial Assets Subcommittee, and we'll go through the same procedure. So those in favour, please raise your hands.
I'm really sorry, but could you mind just holding your hands and then not get them up and down, because it's really difficult to count when you're changing your mind. Thank you. 15, thank you.
Now we're going to have those that abstain. Okay, and then those that are against.
Thank you. So result of the vote is as follows: 15 for, 12 against, and no, 12 abstain and 2 against. So therefore, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody's happy. We now understand exactly what we've just done, yes? Before we move on to agenda item 12, we'll have a short comfort break, okay? If you could be back in the chamber in 10 minutes, that's at 20 to 9, because as I said earlier, we do have another long agenda after this, and unless you want to be here for an awful long time or come back tomorrow, then we need to proceed. Right, shall we get started again? Would everybody like to take their seat? Yeah. Great, thank you for your cooperation. We're now on agenda item 12, which is the proposed council transitional plan 2026-27. This item is for the council to approve the proposed council transitional plan of 2026-27. And I call upon Councillor Neil to propose the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. I propose that Council approve the proposed Council Transitional Plan 2026 as outlined in Appendix A.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to reserve your right to speak?
No, thank you. Self-explanatory. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, would you like to speak to your motion, Councillor Neil?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This transitional plan has been scrutinised by all service committees, with officers amending the document as appropriate. It has been recommended for approval by the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee. I believe it makes robust and specific commitments to us achieving as much as possible in our remaining months, and it is incumbent on all of us to help deliver on those commitments. The plan will also assist in bringing the progress we're making in Spelthorne to the attention of our friends at West Surrey, so that work can be prioritised and continued. I support the motion.
Would anyone like to speak on this motion? Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. A transitional plan. 19 months ago, the council was told that the unitary authority was going to be coming. This should have come out pretty shortly after that period of time. It was highlighted. I think kind of where we are now, I think we should be in do least damage, do no harm, carry on the services as best as we can. Start nothing new, and I would say focus on the staff so that when we do transition into the unitary authority, they are best placed with the best digital AI type skills so that they will all be employed. And when the new West Surrey comes along, and it will come along, it can drive it forward. I think that the idea of saying to different service committees and saying, oh, here we go, here's a bunch of stuff to do, it leads to lots of tasks and lots of other implied tasks. So people are spending their brain power thinking, oh, how should I do this? How can I do that? How can I manage it, et cetera, et cetera. I've seen it happen all the time. But actually what they should be focusing on is really good officers. And we've got loads of really good officers here, but they need to be match fit, ready for the new unitary authority. Or what I would really like for them to be, I would like them to be poached by the private sector if needs be, so they can go and earn some big bucks because they've got all these lovely brand new great skills, you know. So I do think, you know, A, it's too late. B, it's too much that will overwhelm people's minds in the next few, last few months. And C, staff are the most important thing. We should be investing in staff. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else wish to make a comment? Councillor Hawkins.
Hi. This, as they say, came up at CP&R on Monday night. It's a very pretty document. However, I'm not happy with its content, and I'll raise the same issues as I did on Monday night, where it talks about communities supporting residents to live healthier lives and empowering communities to feel supported and safe. I don't get. With two major issues that are going on against what residents want, but both will affect their ability to live healthier lives. And how is that empowering residents? Give the council giving residents what they don't want. We have the Staines mugger pitch. I wasn't aware of a single positive response to it by residents, and it was the cause of many negative social media comments. There was a public online survey, and I believe it was majority rejected, and yet we are told that the council will be, in this document, progressing the plans. With this £500,000 project that's not wanted by residents. Since its inception, I've never been able to get my head around two simple facts. We don't know whose ashes have been scattered there. The answer is in the name, Staines Memorial Garden, completed in 1897. Not to mention the safety angle, water, bulls, boats and children. Don't we have enough water accidents without encouraging and facilitating more? Then we're on to Long Lane, the Long Lane ground by the food bank, where certain councillors within this chamber are going against residents' wishes and supporting developers. These grounds are well used and loved by residents of Stanwell, and they don't want this to happen.
Councillor Hawkins, can you just stop for a second?
Madam Mayor, this is highly speculative. This information has not been partaken to any councillors. There is an agenda of which this information is to be released, and that should be respected, not making preemptive statements. Thank you.
Would you like to carry on, Councillor Hawkins?
Please. These grounds are well used and loved by the residents of Stanwell. They don't want this to happen. The residents won't be able to afford the proposal being pushed forward. I appreciate that the council will say it won't happen. Can the Chief Exec please write to Anne-Marie at Stanwell Food Bank and confirm that this won't be happening, and that Spelthorne will be putting a letter in support of this to West Surrey to support residents? And lastly, the small issue of the council cutting the Better Neighbourhood grant by 50%. A small amount of money, and councillors on the Conservative Party agreed to forego their allowance rise this year to go towards this. Can we have an explanation as to how this has been executed and what the current balances are going forward? And lastly, HMOs. They've been a disaster under this council, too little, too late. I sincerely hope they will be better managed going forward. And as I said, I look forward to seeing the results of the full inquiry over the Laleham HMO incident, and if appropriate, refer to the Standards Committee. And regarding resilience, I've read the accounts, and I'm less than convinced that we will make the £170 million fire sale of properties. But I appreciate without these, all the residents are looking at an enormous hike in council tax and rates. And environment, I'm so pleased the local plan was signed off, and I think the department are doing a wonderful job in progressing the new plan as required. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, does anybody... Councillor Beecher.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would have liked to have supported this transition plan, but there is one item was that I cannot support. Page 117, Action 1. Support Spelthorne's long-term interest in the development of Heathrow expansion proposals. In the local plan, the Spelthorne Council does not support Heathrow's expansion proposal without the caveats and provisos. And these are not mentioned in the transition plan, these caveats. Heathrow is a major contributor to carbon emissions in the area. Although it may support workers here, it is doing damage to Spelthorne and the country as a whole. You may be enjoying the heat, but the Imperial College and the NHS, along with the Met Office, have recognised that something in the region of 440 people died per day during the heat waves in May and June. This is caused by climate change, the continuing dumping of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Heathrow is a major contributor to that. So I cannot support this transition plan without those amendments in the document.
Councillor Bortflower. Okay, Councillor Grant.
Okay, thank you. I must say I agree with Councillor Beecher there. Not
not everybody in this chamber is in favour of Heathrow expansion. It causes a lot of problems for the local community with extra traffic and pollution, and the wider issues it's a major cause of climate change, all this flying. I really think, I mean, it's not going to stop me supporting this transition plan in general, but I really think this council, while we still exist, should have a major debate on Heathrow expansion. We might change our position before we go forward to West Surrey, and yeah, we really ought to talk it through. Thank you.
Councillor Wallflower.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's really interesting stuff from Councillor Beecher there, and you know, the deaths during the sea period. The plan looks good. However, there's lots of cloak and daggers behind it, and I think the mention of Heathrow comes to the top of the list. We've got a thing later on, an item of a building in that area. So is Heathrow going to expand or not? I've been told tonight earlier it isn't, but we know it is, and it will grow. It won't matter what we try and do or say here tonight, it means nothing in that league. It's big business. So I think there is some things that Malcolm and Kathy's mentioned there, that we do need to change this. We need to set our point before this is signed off. This needs to be rejected tonight, to be reworked on and pass off our thoughts to West Surrey. West Surrey can do what they like with it, but at least the record of Spelthorne is very clear. There's other mentions of green stuff, and I know my colleague has mentioned the Mugger, which is round the corner from where I live, or would be if it ever gets there. And there was talk of putting a football pitch there. And then we got the Long Lane one of putting a Staines football club in Long Lane. I think we've got to protect every bit of our green space that we've got, whatever, because in the future, when we're long gone, people will look back and I know where they'll point the finger. So I think there's many things in there that need to be changed and tweaked. I can't agree to this at the moment, but I would do if there was a proper working group on it and amendments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Does anybody else want to? Councillor Salagopoulos.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to actually talk in support of Heathrow. It's a bit like the old story. If people remember Kwasi Kwarteng, I went canvassing with him once down Church Street, and one of the residents there said, can you do anything about those bells at the church? You know, and you think, well, why did you move near a church bell? This airport is very, very important to the economy of this country. We can't get away from that. It just happens to be here. And what I would like to see, and I think, Councillor Grant, I completely agree with you for once, it might be an idea, Madam Mayor, to have a really big debate on this, so that going forward, the people who are running West Surrey are very clear on exactly what we want to do in this borough. But we must be mindful. It's not only the people who work at the airport, it's all the businesses that we have that actually rely on Heathrow to keep their businesses going. So I would welcome a debate in the future, and I think hopefully it will happen quite soon. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Right. Is there anybody? Councillor Sexton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarification, obviously, I know Councillor Halkin spoke a few, probably about 5 minutes ago, in regards to HMOs. I want to make sure this is absolutely clear. I do agree the HMOs was a little too late. But the truth of the matter is, the previous administration were asked to do so. So you keep putting stuff out about Stanwell and what have you, which I have no idea what you're on about, okay? And my understanding is nothing's going to happen there, because you mentioned Anne-Marie, so I don't know what it is that you're going on about in the nicest possible way. But HMOs was asked to be addressed under the previous administration, and unfortunately, the leader of the time would not do anything about it. As soon as this group administration came together in 2023, we went forward as quickly as we possibly could. And that is clear. And the independents moved that. And you know that's a fact, and it's on record. So thank the independents and the group administration, because who came too late? The Conservatives. Thank you.
Oh dear, here we go again.
Councillor Bortfire, your microphone's still on. Sorry. Is there anybody else who wants to talk on this?
Do you want to just ask me to?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask our interim chief executive to say a few words.
It's only in relation to the factual actuary, what it says in the document, rather than anything else. It does not say support Heathrow proposals. It says supports the council's interests in engaging with the multiple agencies and discussions that go on. So whatever those interests are is what will be reflected in the discussions. It absolutely doesn't express a view one way or another in this document.
Is everybody happy with that statement? And I think we will note the fact that people would like to have a debate on this, and we will try and fit that in between now and the 31st of March. In the meantime, would you like to sum up, Councillor Neil?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I thank you, Gordon, for addressing that point, and I would welcome a debate on Heathrow. Regarding the Muga, it was very clear in the amendments section that the wording had been softened. Plans progressed does not mean plans approved. But in general, I believe that we can all vote for this plan, since it has been reviewed, amended and updated by members across the chamber. There have been some further observations this evening, but I think they also have been addressed. I will be voting to approve the plan, and I will be supporting officers tasked with implementing it. And they need this document. They have work to do. It's been referred to in the chamber that we want to support the officers and we want to give them the strongest possible step into West Surrey. This plan empowers them with that. So I encourage everyone to vote for the transitional plan. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the vote then. Does the council agree to approve the proposed council transitional plan for 2026-27 as outlined in Appendix 8A? So again, if you would like to agree, would you put your hand up? Okay. If you would like to abstain?
We have 8.
Okay. And if you are against?
We have 3. Thank you. Apologies, Madam Mayor. We have the result of the vote is as follows: 17 votes for, 8 votes abstain, and 3 votes against. So therefore, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now on to agenda item 13, which is reports from the committee chairs. This item is to agree the chair's reports on pages 109 to 140. And for members to ask any questions in relation to the business outlined in these reports. Do members have any questions on the reports, please? Councillor Buck.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to raise a point regarding item 13, which reads as reports from committee chairs. I've gone through the supporting documents. Out of the 9 supporting documents, 5 were not reports. They were minutes of meeting. And I would like to know, there's a difference, of course, between the minutes of a meeting and your report. And why 5 committee chairs have not bothered to write a report and we just voted against, well, this is different. So what I want to know from a constitutional point of view, whether our monitoring officer will accept minutes rather than report under the item of reports from committee chair. If that is a yes, are we going to call this item report from committee chair or minutes of committee meeting? And if that is acceptable, I would also like, I can't remember this council have agreed that minutes can replace a report. Thank you.
Would you like to clarify that?
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Buck. I've just been advised by the committee services manager that what you're referring to is decision notices rather than minutes, and that's a proper record of what has happened at the committee. And I do believe that this format has been followed for quite some time without any challenge. Thank you.
Councillor Wallflower.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the other thing missing from it, I'm grateful for Councillor Buck there to bring this up, which I've meant to mention probably over many meetings, but time moves on, is there's never any reports from the outside body members, such as the police panel, hospital, and various other ones. I wonder if they could be a part of the committee. Obviously, they belong to a committee, that activity. They could be part of the chair's reports going forward. Thank you.
I'm not sure how practical that is because some of these outside bodies only actually meet once a year. So
I accept that, Madam Mayor, but it'd be good to get something because at the moment we've had absolutely nothing. I can't remember the last time. I think he's passed away now, and I think the last person that gave an update on an outside committee was probably Councillor Bob Noble, if you remember rightly, back in the day. We've not really had anything since. I've been meaning to bring it up for probably years, but I think now, as we're coming to an end, it would be good to see the status. We've just had the appointments, I think, at CPNR this week, which I couldn't make, as a last stand of saying, OK, we've got people on it, tell us what's happening. And that would be really good, Madam Mayor, so thank you.
OK, well, I'll ask the group leaders whether or not that's a possibility, and we'll report back at the next council meeting. Councillor Salagopoulos.
Thank you. I just need to take issue with the monitoring officer where she said that this has not been brought up before. I think nearly at every council meeting I've been bringing this up, that it can't be beyond the realms of possibility for the chairman of committees to actually write their own little report. It's not too much to ask for those of us who don't follow every meeting. As for the outside bodies, well, after the meeting the other night, and you're well aware of my views on that. In fact, it's very important when we talk about the outside bodies, Madam Mayor, we have the hospital and we have an appointee. We have 90,000 residents dependent on that hospital and a lot going on. So short of me actually going into the minutes, I wouldn't mind a report. And that's not once a year, Madam Chairman. It's very, very regular, as Councillor Hawkins can attest. And it's very, very important that we are seen by the hospital to have a much closer relationship. So I would also like to add that. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
OK, we'll see what we can do about that. Councillor Hawkins, are you actually on that committee then, the outside body?
I was an elected representative, and part of at the time, Councillor Sue Dorham was our represented member, and unfortunately she never turned up. And I was constantly asked, is she still a member? Now, she never turned up, she never took minutes because she wasn't there. And they were highly frustrated by her non-attendance. Unfortunately, at CPNR on Monday, she was once again voted in. I cannot get my head round why somebody that doesn't attend is voted in once again. Surely, I mean, Councillor Medbuck was once a member of it. Surely he should have been voted in or something. I'm not saying that I should, you know, if people don't want me, that's fine. What I'm saying is we should have a representative there that is talking up for the residents. There's so much going on because the hospital is now merging with 3 different hospitals. And so it's no longer Ashford St Peters, it's Ashford St Peters, Guildford, and another one down in Hazel, about 30 mile away. And that we're all reliant on them. And so we're going to be sent further and further away for treatment. Like my grandson got burns and he was sent down
Can
to
we
Royal
keep to the
Sussex.
subject, please?
I am keeping to the subject. You're asking about the appointments to committees, and I'm telling you what has happened and what has been going on at Ashford and St Peters. So I think that we need to turn around and get people to turn around and talk and represent us, and not have it where the representatives of Ashford and St Peters want to know who Spelthorne's representative is because they don't turn up. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Geach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do think this has really moved off the agenda. One point. The second point, the controversy happened on Monday because the leader of the Conservatives neglected to email the appointments. Yes?
Madam Mayor, that's not correct, and the member doesn't know how the Conservatives work. I did share the information, but not in the way that she's mentioning.
They were,
And unfortunately, the team missed it. So thank you. Get it correct,
It was a
please.
bit farcical. And third point, a lot of comments are being made about Councillor Doran. She is not here to have a right of reply.
Correct.
She's not here to have a right of reply, so I think this is a bit unfair.
Disrespect.
Thank you, Councillor Geach. Councillor Barrell, sorry.
As a member of the Police and Crime Commission panel, it's held twice every 2 months, sometimes a little bit more if the Chief Constable comes up to answer questions. We can have 15, 20 different subjects, topics. I think it'd be very difficult to do a 2-minute report covering it, to be quite honest. But, you know, you could do a highlights, perhaps, if it was requested. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Williams?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to pick up on this point about what these documents actually are, because the report, the chairman's report, supposedly my report from the last Business Infrastructure Growth Committee, is just a decision sheet, and it references 2 items. In fact, at the start of that meeting, we had about an hour more presentation from Heathrow Southern Rail, an update that doesn't even get a mention here and is not in the public domain. But that was very, very interesting for our residents because, amongst other things, they've stated tremendous progress being made linking Staines to Heathrow via the Elizabeth line. Now, I would have expected to see that in here. Obviously, it's a decision sheet, so I get it. But my point, my salient point here is that I think what we should be doing with these, they should be going to the chairs well before this meeting so they have an opportunity to correct or to add what they think is they want to actually report to the council. That's my point.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Does anybody else have any other comments? Councillor Buck.
Madam Mayor, can I request the monitoring officer to explain her rulings? Because to me, there's a difference between a report and a minutes of meeting. I hear that this has been accepted in the past. Does it mean that we have to continue accepting it? If the Constitution says a report needs to be submitted, we expect the chair to do the work and to write a report and submit it for at least this is a public document. Public need to read what's happening. A minute is not a report. It's just a record of what has been discussed. A report is much more. I'm not going to do a lecture on that, but I'm happy to help if anybody wants to write a report.
Thank you, Councillor Buck. Right, if there's no further comments. Okay, Councillor Bari.
Just the reporting back from these external bodies.
I don't think it's necessary for everyone to do a report and come back to council, but it's very important, like Councillor Halkins said, about the hospital side of things and the policing side of things, two subjects that really matter to the residents. And I'm really disappointed with the councillor's response there regarding the police and crime panel, because you're there to represent Spelthorne. Those 15, 20 questions you're talking about are across Surrey. I don't really care about the crime in Reigate, but I care about the crime and what's going on here in Spelthorne. And I, on a number of occasions, as you know, cross swords with Surrey Police, because they're, in my opinion, they could be doing a lot more. So you need to be, I know how it works, you compile the questions, and yours should be based on in Spelthorne's interest, and you need to fight our corner, present that question, and report back to us and tell us what's happened, because it's a hot topic. A lot of the residents feel like we have got no police force, and it's up to you to let the Commissioner and the Chief Superintendent know that. So let's not be so defeatist on that one, please.
Right, are there any more comments on the Chair's reports? I'm more than happy to tell everybody about the Southwest Crematorium Board, as I'm the outside representative for that, and I'm more than happy to tell you what we talk about at the meetings. Very interesting it is. You're welcome, Councillor Balklow. So, does the Council agree to note the Chair's reports? No. Agreed. Thank you very much. Right, agenda item 14 is motions. We have no motions for consideration this evening. So we're moving on to agenda item 15, general questions. We've not received any general questions for this meeting. So now we're moving on. I believe we're going to item 19 now, aren't we? We're jumping out.
So you've got to pause so you can handle the discussion.
Okay. Right. I now propose that we consider agenda item 19, which is the disposal of the commercial assets, so that we can, as requested at the Corporate Policy and Resources Committee held this week, consider it in an open session. I'll now pass over to the monitoring officer, who will read out a brief statement before we start discussing this item. So this is item 19.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members are reminded that commercially sensitive information contained within Part 2 report and appendices must not be discussed, referenced or disclosed during public sessions of tonight's meeting. Part 2 report and appendices are designated as such because they contain information which falls within the categories of exempt or confidential information as defined under the relevant statutory provisions. Where a report or appendix is marked as not for publication on the grounds that it contains confidential or exempt information, that designation carries legal force and must be respected by all members at all times. Tonight's commercially sensitive Part 2 report and appendices contain information relating to financial terms and commercial interest, including those of third parties. Disclosure of such information in a public forum, whether intentional or inadvertent, could damage the Council's commercial relationships and undermine its ability to secure favourable outcomes in ongoing or future negotiations. Members are therefore reminded that any discussion of the substance of Part 2 report and appendices must be strictly confined to the private session. Members are also reminded that their obligations under the Council's Code of Conduct require them to act with integrity and in accordance with law. Thank you.
Thank you. This item is for the Council to approve the proposed disposal on the terms set out in the report. The confidential report can be found on pages 205 to 228 of the agenda, and the public report can be found on pages 3 to 10 of the supplementary agenda published yesterday. I now call upon Councillor Neal to propose a motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose that Council 1. Approve the proposed disposal on the terms set out in this report, and 2. Delegate authority to the Chief Finance Officer and Group Head of Assets in consultation with the Chair and Vice Chair of Corporate Policy and Resources Committee, to agree minor variations to the heads of terms and adjustments to the sale price. And 3, delegate authority to the Group Head of Corporate Governance to enter into a transfer to complete the disposal and any ancillary legal documentation required in relation to the proposed disposal.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to reserve your right to speak?
Yes, please, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Neal, do you wish to speak in support of your motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening we're being asked to consider a recommended offer for one of our commercial properties, the World Business Centre. This offer is the result of expert research, a careful selection of potential buyers, and the creation of commercial tension between bidders, which is the best possible process through which a commercial property sale can be completed. Following such a process protects against fire sale conditions taking hold, and the disposal price on offer is, in the opinion of the expert representing our interests, the highest price we will achieve for this property. I will vote to agree the proposed disposal, and I believe a vote for this motion is a vote for the best possible financial outcome in regard to this property.
Would anyone like to speak on this motion? Councillor Sexton.
I would just like to thank the officers very much indeed, especially Coralie, for all the work that she put into this. Once again, thank you.
Councillor Burrell?
Yeah, it looks a very good report. I just had a bit of a query. There was one of the people who put in a bid, who were asked to put in a bid, said that they couldn't do it because there was only a 6-year residual lease rather than the 8+ that they normally have.
Sorry, Councillor Burrell, we aren't in part 2, we're in part 1 here.
Oh, my apologies, sorry.
That's okay. So if you'd like to keep that for...
Sorry.
Councillor Geraci, I believe you wanted to say something?
I actually thought we were in part 2. Apologies, so I won't say
Okay, no,
anything.
we are still in part 1 here because we had people that wanted to talk about this in part 1. Councillor Salagol.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and my congratulations to Coralie for all your hard work in getting this document so that we can see in part 1. It's really appreciated, and looking for, and I think that was a suggestion of Councillor Sexton actually the other night, and Councillor Williams, of course, wasn't it, where we had a rather good debate about this, didn't we, and a lot of agreement around it. I mean, running behind this, Madam Mayor, is the fact that, you know, we're custodians of taxpayers' money, aren't we? All of us, not, you know, every single one of us. And it's right and proper that we should question any disposal and look into it. So I absolutely thank, and you, of course, Madam Mayor, for this to be enabled so we can talk about it. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. I think it's well known how I feel. I will be voting against it, and I'll let you know. But I am very, very grateful that we've been able to bring this up into the public. It looks more transparent. So thank you for that very much.
Okay, was anybody else? Councillor Buck, and as I said, the monitoring officer has warned people as to what they can actually say within the context.
Yes, thank you for reminding me, Madam Mayor. I fully understand and I fully accept that there are times when commercial confidentiality are necessary, yeah, and we cannot reveal any negotiation, any name of buyers or value agreed in part 1. I fully understand that, and because this will cause prejudice to the council if this type of information goes public. But confidentiality should never become a substitute of transparency, because what we are discussing today, we're not discussing private asset, we're discussing public asset. And this public asset was built over many years with public money, and they belong to the people of Spelthorne. So people are sometimes confused about what's happening, the disposal of asset. People ask me the question of, is my community centre going to be sold? Or is my park where I walk my dog every day is at risk of being sold? Or sometimes they ask me, what is the next public asset that are going to be sold? So people we can see, based on these questions, you can see how they are confused. I'm not saying anything, but is it fair to the public to remain in a situation of confusion? So I do believe that the council is in a very serious financial situation at the moment, and at times, you know, at this very moment, we're still under government intervention, and because trust in financial management is very important. So the public may be entitled to know every commercial details, any commercial property that has been listed for sale. Not necessary to give them the value, how much we are bidding. At least they need to have some basic information. How the council is managing this situation, how the council have made a decision why building A or land B or whatever is going to be sold, what was the criteria you used, because these are all public information. And also, once the decision is made, okay, and I think this type of information need to go out in the public, then we need to disclose how much we have sold these properties, who are the buyers. So this is what transparency is about, and this is what good governance. I'm not saying that we need to disclose things before it happened, but at least after it happened, we have to be clear. And secondly, give an idea of what are the listed buildings that we have identified for sales. Thank you.
Right. Councillor Atwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before you start the clock, could I just ask for some clarification, please? Because I would like to speak, but I just want to make sure, because I don't want to do anything wrong, that we are discussing item 19, and the report that begins on page 208, 207, is in the public domain. Is that correct? Because it doesn't make it clear.
Yeah, it is the supplementary. If you look on your paperwork, you'll find there is a supplementary public report.
Right. Well, I'm going through the agenda, and on the agenda, it just comes up as a next item. So on that point, I won't continue. Yeah. No, that's fine. I won't continue. It was right for me to make sure before I started talking.
No, still in part one. The public are still listening to us, so that is where we are at this moment in time. Councillor Williams.
Can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to echo what Councillor Sally Goplis has just said. I think the officers have done a sterling job putting together this public report. I know you were late into the night. I saw some of the emails asking for my input, but too late to help, I'm afraid. It's really important that we get as much out in the public domain as we can, obviously bearing in mind that there is stuff that is commercially sensitive, not only for the council, but for our counterparties. I understand that. Equally, though, it's important that residents are reassured that they kind of know what's going on, because what's happened in the past is stuff's happened, they found out about it after the event, and that inevitably breeds suspicion and mistrust. So I'm really, really pleased that we've got to this point. To Councillor Atwell's point, I think the reason for the confusion here is that it's because that public report was produced so late. It came out after the agenda, and it came out as a supplementary document. I guess in future we'll be able to avoid that situation. So just to reiterate my thanks, and as I say, I think this is really important that the residents see as much as we can tell them about what we're doing with these assets. Thank you.
Right, is there anybody else? Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I do get a real sort of sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach when we talk about these assets. We've got to do this kind of action. However, it would be nice if we didn't have to do these kind of actions. I think we've been very much dealing with the waves of short-termism instead of looking at the tides of where they're going. We look around the world, we look at Dubai that's struggling because of the Iranian war. We look at New York is changing because there's flight from there. There's a lot of strife around. And actually all of a sudden London is looking like, London and the UK is looking like a safe place to actually, for companies to go to. So the London spare vacancy properties is down to like 1%, as done by Knight Frank coming up. So there's not a lot of vacant spaces. So it's absolutely galling that we need to do this. I know that we need to do it because we've been forced to do it. We haven't been forced to do it. We voted to do it. I didn't, but we voted to do this, to change the MRP, to refinance the loan. We did not need to do that. And I go back to again, we were told you cannot not vote for this. And I would say, what, we cannot not vote for this? Well, yes, you can. Well, I would have said, well, I would have done a Winston Churchill type salute. And I would have said, if you want to do it, you do it. I will not vote for it. But what the commissioners have done is they've made us vote for it. We have voted for it. So we're responsible, not me, but those who voted for the change in the MRP, the change in the mortgage application, all that stuff. It was all done right before the budget to give Rachel Reeves an extra £1 billion in her back pocket. And if you can't see that, well, you need to open your eyes. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Does anybody else like to comment before Councillor Neil sums up? Councillor Howkins.
I think it's a shame that we're disposing of a property on the door of Heathrow when there's all this talk of expansion. As they say, we sat in big committee and we listened to a talk for a best part of an hour about the expansion of Heathrow and train links and stuff like that. And to turn round and see that we let something go for such a small amount, and they say it's not a fire sale. I don't get it. No. I don't get it where they cannot call it a fire sale when they're offering to give it away to someone. I think that by holding on for a short space of time, the world will change. Maybe turn around and leave it for West Surrey, and the world will be a bit different then. But turning round and just going and giving away things because we think it's right at the time when the world is changing so quickly, is it the right decision? I don't think so.
Councillor Bullfowl.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, you asked the leader to sum up. Are we not going into part two?
Not at the moment. Not on.
Okay,
Not
I'm just sort of considering. I do want to speak, but it might cover part two. So unless I get a legal exemption saying whatever I say because I'm declaring it is exempt, I prefer to go in part two.
Yes, you
I
can
don't know
ask
if
for us
other
to go
members
into
have got
part
part
two
two
if
or
you
they've
like.
got other part one questions. So that's why I wanted just to ask, are we going to part... Is it a last call for part one questions before we go into part two?
Well, at the moment we're still in part one.
Okay,
And
so
let's see
I'll
where
do
we go
what
from
part
here,
two.
because we still have Councillor Garachi wants to speak.
Funny enough, Madam Mayor, my point is that I can't counter what Councillor Howkins is saying without going to part two. So shall we just go into part two? Might as well, I think.
Okay, you will need a seconder to go into part two. Okay, Councillor Sexton?
Second that, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Does everybody agree for us to go into part two? Agreed? Yes. Yes, right. Christine, can you put us back in part 1, please? Yeah? Okay. Councillor Neil, do you wish to sum up?
Not particularly, but I would just say I'd just like to sort of commend really the quality of the debate that we just had, and let's have the vote. Yeah.
Named vote, okay?
Okay, Madam Mayor, should I just start the named vote?
No, I've got to read out first of all what you're voting on.
Do you think people haven't? Okay.
Okay, right, let's do it properly. Okay, so does council agree to number 1, approve the proposed disposal of the terms set out in this report, and 2, delegate authority to the Chief Finance Officer and Group Head of Assets in consultation with the Chair and the Vice Chair of Corporate Policy and Resources Committee to agree minor variations to the head of terms and adjustments to the sale price. And 3, delegate authority to the Group Head of Corporate Governance to enter into a transfer to complete the disposal and any ancillary legal documentation required in relation to the proposed disposal. So we are going to have the name vote now. Councillor Atwell?
Madam Mayor, are we having a recorded vote?
Yes,
Thank
yes, we have the paperwork. We're just about to go through the process.
I guess it was to clarify, we're on agenda item 19.
Yes, definitely on 19,
Yeah.
guys. We're in part 1 and we're having a name vote. Councillor Clark.
Mayor, in the report it talks about 3 options. Option 1, agree the offer in principle and recommend to council for approval, recommended. Option 2, decline the offer and continue to market the property. And option 3, hold the property. Are we not discussing those options, Mayor?
Got to the end of the debate.
That's what I have in front of me on my script, and that is what we're voting on. Yeah, our monitoring officer can explain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Clark. Just by way of explanation, the report does indeed set out 3 options. However, the recommendations set out at the front of the report. This is what is recommended. If the councillors would like to propose alternative, then it will be the usual way of proposing an amendment to the motion, because obviously the motion replicates the recommendations in the report. So if there is appetite for changing those recommendations, then a motion to change the motion will need to be moved, seconded, debated. If it passes, then it becomes substantive motion. We debate the substantive motion. The usual process of debating motions. Thank you.
Councillor Woodford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Monitoring Officer. That was said rather quick. And the paper I've been looking at has been showing the 3 options of yes, what's been there. 2, no, let's go back out to the market. And 3, no. Are we saying we're voting for the other recommendations? Because that's not split into 3.
The recommendations, as I said, are in front of the report, which talk to the recommended option, which is to dispose. It's obviously set out in more detail. So
then that's covering all 3 options.
no, it does not.
Is it not? So what option is it covering?
The preferred option, the option 1,
Right.
to dispose of the asset.
So if I want to go for number 2 or 3, I can ask for an amendment, and then we can debate that.
That is
and
right.
vote on that.
If
Okay.
councillors have appetite to amend the...
That's the way it needs to be, because I think we've been talking and talking about things that some do, some don't, and there's been some great conversation, as Greg said, but you haven't got the choice. So are you comfortable doing that? Amendment? Put amendment? but it's not clear of what you're voting against. That's just yes or no, and I don't want yes or no. So it's my choice. Completely different. There's 3 choices. What we've been reading. It's not Friday yet, is it? So. No. No. Well, it's my right. I can do it. So it's fine. Yeah, exactly. So we can have another.
Would you
two
like
members
to just sit
covering
down
the
for a second, Councillor Waltford,
Thank
while
you.
we sort things out? Thank you.
If
Right,
the-
Councillor Williams,
Thank-
is yours
thank
on
you.
the same subject?
It is on the subject of the vote. If the proposal, if the recommendation is in favour of disposal, surely we have the vote on that. And if that is rejected, then we vote on the other options. We don't have to start putting endless amendments in. We vote on what's before us, and then we go from there.
We do. Yeah, but we should have.
In the normal way.
Right, does everybody understand what we're doing, or do you want a quick adjournment so that everybody can get their facts straight? 5 minutes, and that's tops, all right? So you're just having 5 minutes, right? Right, so we've been asked for a named vote, and the Chief Executive is now going to call the names.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So as before, 4 against and abstain, starting with Mayor Dunn.
4.
Attewell.
4.
Bateson.
4.
Beattie.
4.
Beecher.
4.
Badai.
4.
Bing Dong.
Abstain.
Bopari. Botflower.
Abstain.
Buck.
Abstain.
Burrell.
4.
Button.
4.
Kaplan.
4.
Clark.
Against.
Councillor Geach is not here. Geraci.
4.
Grant.
4.
Gaiwali. 4. Hawkins.
Against.
Lee.
Abstain.
Neil.
4.
Nichols.
4.
Rutherford.
Abstain.
And Councillor Gilly-Lopez is not here. Sexton.
4.
Turner.
4.
Virasingi.
4.
Williams.
4.
Woodward.
Against.
Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, councillors. The result of the vote is as follows: 19 votes for, 3 votes against, and 5 votes abstained. So therefore, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Right, now we have to go back into part 2 to discuss the remains of the agenda. So can you let me know when they... Okay. Right, so we're proposing now that we need to move the exclusion of the press and the public from the following items in view of the likely disclosure of exempt information within the meaning of Part 3 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Act of 1985 and by the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order of 2006. Do I have a proposer? Thank you, Councillor Bateson. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Button. Right, this concludes the public business.
Do we all agree?
Yes, do we all agree? Agree. Thank you very much. So this concludes the public business on the council agenda. For those members of the public that may be watching, I wish you all a